Hello and welcome to another update video about Cardano. We're getting closer to the weekend and the prices are going up, so people should really be happy. However, Cardano is currently forming a head and shoulders pattern. As I said, that could be happening yesterday. That I saw this potential that we could have the head and shoulders if Cardano doesn't manage to get above 280 and manages to make another higher high, but Cardano doesn't manage to make another higher high as it seems at the moment. So going to take a look at this possible scenario in this video. But before we start, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is looking a little bit better than Cardano at the moment, which is good for Cardano as well, because eventually Cardano will follow as it regularly does. So on the daily, Bitcoin has managed to close above the 48,000. That is very important. I said yesterday, as long as we close above the 47,200, which is where you can see the mouse at the moment, this was critical, because then we broke above that channel yesterday here in which we were trading in. And if the daily candle closes, that's crucial. And today, and I think it's even more positive, even with that candle, we are now above 48, but we've actually tested this former resistance level is now support. So, and since then we've moved up. So that is positive in my opinion. We have tested that, guys. We went all the way down from the close after that candle down to 47,300 again. We tested it. We're now back up here. So that is, in my opinion, positive. That's a bullish candle. I talked about that. I talked about this engulfing candle in one of the recent videos. I think it was yesterday actually, that we had an engulfing candle, bullish candlestick pattern. So that indicated already that we could be on our way up. What we can also see is that the indicators seem to be recovering now. We're above 50 on the RSI on the daily. The MACD seems to have peaked here on the 11th of September. So we're on our way back to the upside. So that's all good on the daily. Let's have a quick final look on the 1 hour chart. And here we can see that we managed. So yesterday, you remember we talked about that ascending triangle, which then eventually broke to the upside. We also talked about the Wyckoff pattern, which seems to have come to a fulfillment. So if you're interested in understanding more about that, check out the video from yesterday. What we can see now here is very nicely how we broke through that 47,200, bounced off the 48,500, retested, failed to break through, but we tested it and broke down again, made a lower low compared to that one, but have a very strong bullish engulfing candle now. So there's a chance we break through that. However, we seem to be losing momentum a little bit, but in my view, that move here, that was actually important to retest that 47,200, which is why we made that lower low. But that's on the hourly. I think on the 4 hour you don't see a lower low. It's just a retest, which was important. And since then, on the 4 hour, we've made an engulfing green candle so far. Let's see how that closes. But we can currently see some rejection here from the 48,500. If we manage to break that, next target is 49,200 for me. And after that, and that's a very important one, is this supply and demand zone, which we can see here. Why supply and demand? Well, you call these areas supply and demand, which happen after a strong trend, in this case a strong downtrend. You always have this small area of consolidation, which is here. I can zoom in a little bit. That's called a supply and demand zone. Very likely when we get, and you can see it more clearly on the hourly, but when we get back to this area and you were buying now, for example, no trading advice, but if you were, for example, buying as soon as we break through the 48,500, there is a very, very high likelihood that we will bounce off that 50,500 again. And then, you could get out of your trade as soon as you can see that we bounce off there. Then we might go down again to maybe even that level again and give another attempt to the upside. So these supply and demand zones are always very, very strong rejection. Well, support or resistance levels. And you can see it here. That's a very strong supply and demand zone. A little bit of education. Supply and demand means, you have a strong downtrend. It needs to be a strong trend either way. But then you, first of all, when you have a very strong trend, you always have a very short, maybe 4 to 5 candles of consolidation, and then the trend continues. And if then at some point we go back to that range, you have a very strong resistance level. But let's take a look at Cardano now. So let's hope Bitcoin can stay above that level and maybe even break that level of 48,500. Where are we with Cardano? Cardano, unfortunately, here on the daily, did not manage to close yesterday above that descending triangle shape. So that's not great. That means that we are forming a head and shoulders potentially if we can't manage to get above that level here, which is currently at 250. I said how crucial it was yesterday to break above 250 and that the daily candle also closes above that level, and it didn't. So let's take a look on the daily. However, the indicators are looking a little bit better than yesterday, even though the RSI seems to be bouncing off the 50 line. Well, can't get above it at least. 50 is very, very indecisive at the moment. The MACD, very similar to Bitcoin, seems to have peaked on around the 11th, 10th here in this case. And the indicators aren't looking great. It's very, very indecisive. MACD is looking a little bit better than the RSI. But yeah, what we can clearly see, and we can clearly see it on the 4-hour chart, I'm going to go to that, is that we have something like the head and shoulders forming that I mentioned yesterday. Very clearly, shoulder, head, and well, a little bit of a long shoulder here, but we have that shoulder. What does it mean? In practice, it means we have made a high here, then we've made a higher high, which is positive, then we have lost steam and haven't managed to make another higher high. So the sellers are stronger, or the buyers at least are not able to push the price higher. There was not enough buying pressure to push the price above 255. People asked yesterday, did we have a breakout? I did say yesterday we had a breakout, and we had a breakout here out of this triangle pattern, and it was quite a lot in just one candle. I think it's even one candle on the hourly. We moved from 240 to 256. I think that's a bit of a breakout. I think it was something like 5%. But now since then, we've found rejection here at 255 level. We've also bounced back into this descending triangle formation, which isn't very positive. Someone asked in the comments, if that pattern here fulfills, which is a bearish pattern, by the way. If you don't know about these patterns, please check out my second channel, which you can find in the video description. That's a channel on which I teach technical analysis, and I've talked about the head and shoulders pattern in the last few days. Now, how do you determine the target of a head and shoulders? Well, you normally take the head from the neckline, which is here, that support level. You go all the way up to the upper end of the head, and that distance you can take and you add it to the neckline, and it takes us exactly pretty much closely, very closely, to $2. Yeah, so $2, I've been saying that for a few days, that I think that is my immediate worst case if Cardano stays below 280, and at the moment it stays below 280. As long as it stays below 280, there's a big risk we could go down to $2. Some people might see it as a buying opportunity, like myself, and to invalidate that pattern, we would need to get above 280 because we need to make a new higher high. That's pretty much what it is at the moment. We need to see, are we going to break to the downside? So that neckline is, in my opinion, currently at 235. If we break below 235, we can go to 220 in the first instance, but then also to $2. That would be the target of that head and shoulders, and then from there we could recover and bounce to the upside. Or if Bitcoin goes to the moon, I think there's a huge potential that, but only if Bitcoin really manages to continue its way to the upside, then we will have a potential to quickly get above 280 and maybe even break that. This could be a possibility, especially ahead of the Cardano summit, during which a lot of partnerships will be announced. So again, there could be a bit of buy the rumors and then sell the news happening. But what seems likely now is that, if we are currently having this candle here, if we retest that as resistance, that triangle here, there is a good opportunity, it's a possibility that then we bounce off that line, go down, and potentially break through that level, which is 235, and then go down to $2. That's one scenario, a very clear scenario where I've given you the targets. From there then on, we could go to the upside because the longer term potential for Cardano is certainly to the upside. You know that I think that. And with Bitcoin, I think, again, we need to get above the 48,500, and then we can get to 49,200. And then this is a very important and very strong rejection level here that we'll have at 50,500. Let me know which way you think it will go. Do we see that fulfillment of the head and shoulders? It's crucial to observe this. And in my opinion, if the price goes down further, I'm going to use that to carry out my weekly ADA buy. If not, I'll just buy when I see it's going up, because I do dollar cost averaging, but I want to wait to see if that is actually fulfilling. And hopefully you liked that video. If you did, please smash the like button. And if you want to follow me on this crypto journey, then please subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.